What up, gamers? I'm Jason.
I'm Julie.
And today on Dice & Dragons, we are going to be reviewing Wingspan Asia, published by Stonemaier Games and designed by Elizabeth Hargrave. Now I'm going to toss it over to Julie, who will tell you more about the game itself.
Well, first we'd like to thank Stonemaier Games for the review copy. We appreciate the support of the channel, but we'd like to remind our viewers that our opinion will remain our own. So this is a competitive game that plays for 1 to 2 players or acts as an expansion in flock mode to go 6 to 7 players.
Or you can just also throw it in just with your regular Wingspan content and just have more birds and, just new stuff to play with. And a lot more food. I don't know if you need that much more food, though. So what will you be doing in Wingspan? Well, this is an engine building game. You're going to have birds in your hand. You will have different types of food. You will be spending your resources to build your engine by playing birds in different habitats. You'll be playing them in the forest, in the fields, or in the wetlands. Now what's new with the duet mode, which is what we're going to be playing, you have these tokens which will then go onto this board, and some of these spaces will have bonuses. You also will have bonus cards, which are objectives that you're trying to achieve and will dictate the different types of birds that you'll be playing. Now, did I miss anything at all, Julie?
Don't think so.
So that's the basics of it all. Oh, you'll be spending dice from the bird feeder for some food. So on that note, we are now going to grab our drink, grab our fellow bird watcher, and we're going to take it to the table one more time. Now we take a quick look at the components for Wingspan Asia. We'll start with the quick start guide. You've got one for player A, one for player B. The instructions with regards to how you're going to start are going to be a little different. Different birds, different food recommendations, different bonus cards, and it's really going to guide you through the process of playing the game as it takes you through the first 4 turns and then has some pointers for turn 5 and beyond. Now you do get 3 different rule books. So you do have the Wingspan Asia rulebook, which includes the rules for the new flock mode, as well as the rules for duet mode. You notice that duet mode is marked in red, with flock mode being marked in blue. Now, it does say that this book does have the full rules, so this can actually replace your original Wingspan rulebook. Next, you've got the appendix for all the different bird abilities, symbols, things like that, the bonus cards. And then you've got the Wingspan Asia Atoma rules so that you can play the game solo. Take a look at some of the components here because I want to move them off the board. Here we've got the first player token. We then have the round end instructions for duet mode, and then the round end instructions for flock mode. We have this double-sided tile that I'm not sure quite what it does. It's for 6 or 7 players. You also have these tokens that will go on it, and these are both for the flock mode. Next, we've got just the area where we'll be placing our birds, so for your bird cards. And this is the new bird feeder. You may be wondering why you're getting new components like the bird feeder and the space for the bird cards. Don't forget that Wingspan Asia is also a completely standalone game because you got the duet mode. Now, we'll take a look at some of the other components we've got here. So we do have the cards for the Atoma, just some rules, and then the specific cards. Now, I haven't actually gone through the rules, so I can't really tell you how they play. You also have 2 bonus cards for the Atoma as well. Next, you get the bonus cards. So you will get some that will actually replace the ones in your existing Wingspan as well as new ones. The cards that have the red outline on them are to be used with the quick start guide. Here you've got the duet board. This will give you some bonuses because you have your new player tokens, and these will be placed on your board. And when you place a bird there, you'll be able to place them on to the duet board, depending on where you place them. I just put this in water, but that wouldn't work. If I place the bird in the grasslands, I'd have to put them in the grassland, so on and so forth. And some of them have bonuses that you will be gaining. So you're going to have enough of these to go across your entire board. Then, of course, we just have some more tokens. So we have black and white action tokens. Here we then have just some new gold tokens. for duet mode, which are completely based around those tokens on the board. And just like in the original game, they are all double-sided. So I mean total tokens on the map, total tokens on nest spaces, total tokens in the forest. As you can see, double-sided. We're not going to go through all of them. And then the winner will gain the bonus points, while the loser will gain 0 points. You do get a full set of food. So you do have your wheat, invertebrates, rodents, cherries, and of course fish, the 5 types of food. Now you will notice that there is a side to play with the Oceania expansion, and the only way to use nectar will be if you actually do have that expansion. We've got the new eggs. I'm not going to pick them up. Well, pick one up there. It's not a big deal. That are maroon. And then you get 5 new bird feeder dice. And these are very much just the standard dice. There is no nectar value on them, but it's so that you can play the game without having the original Wingspan. Also off camera here, I've just got the score sheet, which is dual-sided. One side for the Atoma, the other side for multiplayer. And then we get 90 new bird cards. We're not going to go through all of them. But they're very pretty, from the birds all around Asia, with round hand abilities, when played abilities, once between turn abilities, your when activated abilities, and of course, your game end abilities as well. So we're just taking a quick look at them. Beautiful art. Can't really go through all of them. As you can see, you've got the red as well to identify those cards that are recommended for use in the quick start guide. So there you have it. You've now seen all of the components for Wingspan Asia. Now keep it right here, as Julie and I will be coming back at you with our review of this standalone game / expansion. So Julie, what did you think of Wingspan Asia? In particular, the duet mode. We've not got a chance to play the flock mode or mix this in with any of the other expansions, but don't worry. It's coming. Hopefully over the holidays we'll get a chance to play this, as well as the European expansion, which we've had for ages and just haven't gone to the table.
I really enjoyed the duet mode. I thought it was quicker. And I like the added table there, where you've got that added dynamic of getting a few extra bonus points or some bonuses depending on what you're picking.
I don't find it's necessarily quicker, the duet mode. I think it's actually fairly similar in length when you're playing a 2-player game. I think if you are playing with the Oceania expansion, which you can use on the other side of the board, and you get things like nectar, that can really speed up the game potentially. Having bonuses from that, having the freedom of just using nectar as a wild resource would really speed up the gameplay. And I think going forward, if we're going to be playing duet mode, I think I'm going to want to mix in the Oceania expansion. And that's just because of some of my thoughts on this. But I'll let you finish. If there's anything else you wanted to add.
Well, I remembered that I really enjoy playing this game. And, I like seeing the birds, the different birds. And, it is a very similar game, with the added, and it's the same great components we come to expect from Stonemaier Games, with the new birds and that duet mode.
I also like the fact that this is a standalone expansion, meaning if you don't have the original Wingspan and you're primarily a 2-player household, you can pick this up, start playing, play with the duet mode. You can play without duet mode, but I don't think it's going to work as well unless you've got the bigger box. And then after that, you can, of course, buy the original Wingspan, mix it in, and take your experience out from this nice, smaller, more contained one. I did enjoy playing the game. We had a couple of close games. We had one game that was actually a blowout, but I'm finding that more and more, I don't think I really love Wingspan at 2 players. The components are great. The boards are great. I love the new eggs. I love the art for the birds. I like the special abilities on the birds, actually. We've had more round hand abilities than I've ever seen before. But I just think that the randomness, at least at 2 players, I think is just a little too high for me. Because we had 2 very close games, and one game was a complete blowout. And that game ended up going real bad for me at the start of the game. And I called it pretty much, I think, halfway through round 1.
Yeah, and I mean, I could have said the same thing. In the last game we played, my bonus card, and you can talk about the bonus cards afterwards with your opinion. I like the added, mystery that they add to it. It's something you definitely can't track. You have no way of knowing what the other player has. So anyways, my card basically had me trying to get cards in the wetland, one, but also in, increasing order. Or I guess I could have done decreasing as well, but it's harder to do when you're starting off to start with a bigger card. All that to say, I couldn't get a water card to save my life, I think, until we got to the second round. So it had me seriously doubting what I was doing. I was trying anything I could to try to get some cards to be able to play. And I was sure I was done for. It seemed like every single wetland card came up that you picked it up as soon as
I only
it came
have
up.
two.
Well, or you were discarding them, it made it really, really difficult. It's just the way the cards were shuffled. To your point, it makes it extremely random, and sometimes it can go the wrong way, and that's part of the randomness of these cards. There's a fair amount of cards in here. Does it say how many?
90 cards.
So we
I think that's more of a two-player issue. I found that when we were playing at 4 players, higher player counts, just the general cycling between, there was a little bit more variety that came up when you had a lot more different strategies. And that blowout game was really only that one time. You just got a card that let you lay eggs. I made a mistake, and then I just saw it. I was like, you're off to the races, and my engine's installed. And at that point, it really wasn't that much fun for me.
So this expansion also has a flock mode, which we haven't had an opportunity to try out.
Yeah,
obviously.
that is 6 to 7 players. If we do get a chance to play the flock mode, we will get it reviewed. We'll probably talk a little bit about playing this at the 4-player count sometime in January in the near future, because I know that we're going to get this to the table with family members over the holidays. Now, the one thing I think I struggle more with in terms of some of the randomness is the bonus cards, even almost more so than the birds. I mean, if it's going really badly and you can see it's going badly, you can just call the game and restart at that point. But I find that the bonus cards aren't all created equal. And when you're playing a 2-player game, there's less of a chance that you're necessarily going to get a solid bonus card and an okay bonus card. You might get 2 just okay ones, whereas your opponent gets some really good ones. And that can also send them sort of off to the races ahead of you. Now, the bonus cards didn't really do that much in terms of a swing, I found. But in terms of strategy and trying to get those points, I mean, I have some birds here that, are worth 0 points. And if I'd been able to get, if I wasn't focusing necessarily on colors and things like that, I might have gotten a couple of birds that had different points. If I'd have maybe going for anatomy, or for me, what it would have been great to have potentially try to set up ascending order in the forest. And that would have made a big difference in this game. But it was still a tight game. I can't say that the game necessarily plays badly. It just depends on what your tolerance is for randomness, because you got the randomness of the cards, randomness on the bonus points, randomness on the bonus cards, and a couple of those combinations can really just come out and bite you in the butt and just not be very fun at all. Where I find that, as I mentioned already, higher player counts, there's some more mitigation, and even if you're not doing great, you're trying to get your best score amongst other players, which I just find to be more fun. It's like, how long am I going to do against everyone else in this situation? When it's heads up, you just lose, especially to competitive people like us who don't like losing to each other.
Yeah, and Jason hasn't won yet, so.
I'm not won yet. I should have won the first game. Julie had a lot of bonus cards, so I made a strategic choice to play my odds, and my odds really went badly. I really should have just laid eggs for the last 3 turns of the game and I would have won, because I would have scored an extra 6 points and she won by 3. But I figured that my odds were that I'd at least get 4 or 5 from my nice farming row that I had in the wetlands, and I got bupkis every single time. So poor strategic decisions on my part. That being said, our last game, it ended up being 91 to 94. And if a couple of things had gone a little bit better, like I said, a little bit more points on one of the cards, then things would have been going my way. So it is balanced, but it's just going to depend on that experience that you like playing heads up.
I'm really ready to give it my score. What about you?
I'm ready to give it my score. I think just in summary, this is the Wingspan that you know and love. The duet mode is a nice addition. Having this board to be able to get a couple bonuses and really give a unique two-player experience as variety. And for anyone that owns Wingspan, I think you're going to want to pick this up, especially if you like playing it at 2 players and it's something that you play like fairly regularly.
Well, based on that, what's your score then?
My score is actually not going to be as high as probably Julie's because I'm finding I don't really like playing Wingspan at 2 players. There are other games I'd rather play at 2 players. I'd rather play games cooperatively or I'd rather play a game like Red Rising. Even though it's been a while, I prefer that as a 2-player experience. So I'm going to give this, in terms of just a 2-player game with the duet mode, I'm going to give it a 6.5. I think it's solid. I think it's good. But it doesn't do enough with the 2-player experience to be like, this is a definitive 2-player experience for Wingspan. I'm always going to want to take this out of 2 players. There's always going to be something else that I'd probably rather play over it. I like Tapestry better 2 players as well, but that just takes too long.
So I'm going to give it a 7.5. I enjoyed playing it. Yes, there's some randomness, and yes, I can empathize with Jason's frustration. And I'm sure if I had lost 3 times in a row, I might have different feelings about it as well.
It's not the 3 times in a row. It's just how much fun I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot the first time. I enjoyed it very little the second time, and then it went back up. So that's all
I enjoy the gameplay, the mechanics of the games. The game I like, pulling the birds, the food, the different things, the end of round bonuses, when activated, when played, all of that. I enjoy the mechanics, and I enjoy this version of it. So for me, I stick by the 7.5. So on that note, it's time to remind you to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell to be notified when we have some new content for you.
And take a look down below in the video description. You'll find links to all of our social media feeds, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. If you'd like to see some pictures of Julie and I playing Wingspan Asia, there are plenty on those feeds. Also down there is a link to multizone.ca, a great Canadian game store. Click that link, you'll get 10% off your next purchase. Great way to get a discount when you're picking up Wingspan Asia. They got all the stuff from Stonemaier Games there, so make sure you check them out. I think this one's up for pre-order right now. And it's a great way for you to support the channel, so please do. And then popping up in front of us are going to be links to some of our previously released videos. In front of me will be our most recent release, and in front of Julie, it'll take you back to our review of, I think we should go with the Oceania expansion for Wingspan? Yeah, so the Oceania expansion for Wingspan. On that note, we now need to
grab our drink,
grab our fellow bird watcher, and we're going to keep playing games.